Welcome to Inlandia Literary Journeys. We are at the Main Street Pedestrian Mall in downtown Riverside, and we are waiting for California Poet Laureate Juan Felipe Herrera, and we're going to do a little bit of a guerrilla reading. I'm here with Cati Porter,
hi,
the Executive Director of Inlandia Institute, and we're going to get started in a sec. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. We're about to start Inlandia's guerrilla poetry reading. As we wait for California Poet Laureate Juan Felipe Herrera, I am now pleased to be able to introduce to you Gayle Brandeis, Inlandia's literary laureate.
Earlier this year, I took part in a poem-a-day challenge, and this was one of the poems I came up with in February, with help from my 3-year-old son. Trunks. I asked my 3-year-old what I should write a poem about, and he said elephants. Elephants' nose. So here's to trunks, those flaccid, wrinkled hoses, those carriers of water and breath and trumpet, those soothers and bathers of young elephant heads. I wonder what it feels like to drag such a heavy organ of sound around. It must be like being a poet, the weight of voice always with us, waiting to come out in a snort or a bellow or a fine, cool spray. Thanks.
All right, Gayle. Get on with the speech.
Hi, I'm Cati Porter, Inlandia's current Executive Director, and I'm also a poet, and shorter than other people here. And I'll read you something. During the height of the recession, I was writing notes as Chairman Greenspan was talking on a TV interview. And so I decided to compile those into sort of a found poem. And this is called An Interview with Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask you a question, the answer to which I think everyone wants to know. You know, Mr. Chairman, there are so many people outside this building that say, to hell with him. How can we fireproof our houses? We have a fire going on? It's still burning. They want to know, Mr. Chairman, what keeps you up at night? The seal is embedded in the floor just outside the room that changes the world. We went to the old neighborhood. I was sorry to hear it, but I wasn't surprised. The future chairman wore a poncho and waited tables at south of the border. Robots carry cash in the vault that is as big as a football field and 40 stories. To be the watchdog, you're supposed to keep them out of trouble. They were little small waves lapping up against the sandcastle until the big breaker came in. I certainly don't want to deny that we could have done a better job. Are you seeing any progress? As those green shoots begin to appear in different markets, do you see green shoots? I do see some green shoots. What will be the first signs of recovery? Thank you.
Well, this is indeed a pleasure to be reading poems in downtown Riverside's pedestrian mall. I'm John Bender from the Press Enterprise and Brutus Chieftain from Poets in Distress. Prayer to the charismatic poodle. Charismatic poodle, I can't predict when you'll wake me to bark at the Japanese jogger and recycling thieves. That tail, that snout, those dew claws. Charismatic poodle, you make me chuckle. I accept my failings, an overfed baying beatnik, chasing after a tiny dog and adventure. I know your magic, the way you nip my nightmares, the way you bless my heartbeat. Rasputnik poodle, let's turn circles, cast spells, tear flesh from trash, piss and roll around in it. Charismatic poodle, keep me alive, the way you capture my dreams. the way you bless my heart. I will snarl and howl, gatekeeper. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce California State Poet Laureate, Juan Felipe Herrera. Come on up.
Hey, that was fabulous. It was fabulous. Hey, people like Gayle, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, did you read already? Oh, you already did?
We could read again. We were the appetizer.
Oh,
we were
hey,
the
you want
entree,
to go?
so.
Let's give them another mono, another big mono. Hey, doing good. Good to see you.
You're about to hear some poems.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is really a beautiful thing that's happening here, right here in the main driveway, the main opening pedestrian mall. This is where poetry belongs, and I'm so happy to see you and your daughter. Yeah, Amanda. Hi, Amanda. And everybody. Thank you so much. And for our poets, let's give them a second mano. And that's a great sombrero. And let's give Gayle a big mano for her sombrero. And the Mission Galleria, we're right next to the Mission Galleria and the Mission Inn, and the galleries down the way, the Culver Art Center and the Sweeney Art Gallery, and the people, most of all the people. You know, a lot of good things have been happening, and Gayle's been doing a lot of good things here in the area, and everyone else has been doing a lot of good things here in the area. Cati and our poeta doing great things here in the area, and that's what it's all about. Poetry for the people of Riverside, of Inlandia, the children, the parents, the families, the students. Because that's who we are. That's what we do, and that's why I have my multicolored jute bag with poems for you. As a matter of fact, some of my students are here too, and they're fabulous poets in their own right. It's so good to have poetry for all people. And I just remember that I'm going to read some poems right here from Dragonfly, and it's a short piece that I did that I wanted to develop at length, and it only turned out to be a couple of pages, which is fine. And I'm going to read it in Spanish also, Spanish and English. You know, it's beautiful. Let me just tell you a little bit about what's happening in California and our journeys across California. I've been meeting a lot of students, a lot of colleges, city colleges, a lot of community centers, a lot of children's classes and young students and people at large, the grape growers, the grape workers, the winery workers, and on. The lowrider crusade in San Francisco. I got to go in a lowrider as part of a laureate lowrider parade. Can you believe that? A laureate lowrider parade. Everybody say lowrider parade.
Lowrider parade.
Laureate lowrider parade.
Laureate lowrider parade.
Going way up to the right.
Going way up to the right.
45 degrees to the right.
45 degrees to the right.
While the wheels were rolling.
While the wheels were rolling.
While the engine was fluttering.
While the engine was fluttering.
And skipping.
Skipping.
And Bob Marley was singing.
Bob Marley was singing.
And the radio was blasting.
The radio was blasting.
And the driver's partner was in the back seat, changing the songs.
Changing the song.
On her iPod. On her U-Pod.
On her U-Pod.
On her everybody pod.
On her everybody pod.
Pa arriba, pa abajo, pa arriba, pa abajo. 45, 45, 46, 44.
45, 45, 46, 44.
Degrees, angles, and latitudes and longitudes.
Degrees, angles, and latitudes and longitudes.
All the words, all the stories of the people for you and me.
All the words, all the stories for the people, for you and me.
Stanza number 2.
Stanza number 2.
Pa arriba, pa abajo, pa arriba, pa abajo.
Arriba, pa abajo, pa arriba, pa abajo.
45, 44, 43, and 2.
45, 44, 43, and 2.
With our harmonica.
With our harmonica.
45, 42, 41, 43. So it's been very beautiful to see the creativity of the community at large throughout California. Like I said, when I was in Napa, presenting and reading and meeting the radio DJs of the farm workers, it was a beautiful moment. And I had to get into the rhythm. Because when you're a DJ and you're doing radio for the community in Spanish, how do you think the radio announcers go? Y ahora aquí les tenemos el programa para todos ustedes aquí en Día de la Familia en Napa. And today here we have the program for you right here in Napa, Day of the Family, Día de la Familia. So it was fun, and they asked me great questions about writing and the significance of poetry in their community and how they like to write poetry and how the children enjoy reading poetry. So in a way, when I travel throughout California, and Gayle and the rest of the team here presents throughout Inlandia, throughout the area in general, here in the Inland Empire, Inlandia, we meet a lot of students, a lot of teachers, and we go to libraries. And it's so inspiring. Everybody say inspiration.
Inspiration.
Inspiración.
Inspiración.
And it's instantaneous.
Instantaneous.
Immediate.
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 You immediate.
You immediate.
All immediate.
All immediate.
Instantaneously.
Instantaneously.
Like John Lee Hooker, instantaneously. A blues musician, instantaneously. It used to be instant camera and instant coffee, but now it's instant poetry. So I became very inspired, and people have been submitting poetry for a number of beautiful things that we're putting together called the biggest and most incredible poem on unity in the world. Everybody say the biggest and most incredible poem on unity in the world. And at first I didn't know how it was going to happen. At first we were just receiving poems and words on unity. Everybody come up with a word for unity, okay? Take 3 seconds for a word, the first word that comes to mind on unity. Take 3 seconds, okay? And then I'll say 1, 2, 3, and you guys shout it out. Okay, you already have it, you see? 1, 2, a word on unity. That's all we want is one word on unity. If we don't have words on unity, there's no unity. We have to start somehow, and let's start with the most instant personal thing we can, which is our own voice, our own words. All we want is one, just one, una palabra, one word on unity, for unity, at the count of 3, for everybody to hear, and it'll go into through the windows, and the birdies will take it with them to the next tree. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Another one. 2, and 3.
Together.
2, and 3. 2, and 3. 2, and 3. 2, and 3. And the last one, make it a beautiful one like the other ones have been. We're going to cast it up into the sky. 1, this is a word on unity. Any word that comes to mind, it comes out of your heart. We're going to give it out to the world on unity so other people can hear it. One way or another, it'll get to them. 1, 2, 3, tree.